The story begins in a world where people can live a realistic second life through a game called Empyrean God Realm. This game used quantum entanglement and neuroconnection technologies, allowing users to have 100% realistic experiences, including feeling temperature, taste, and touch. Players could go on extreme adventures and engage in thrilling battles while enjoying the freedom of flight. The game also offered many business opportunities, letting users quickly become wealthy, similar to a CEO marrying rich and beautiful partners of their choice, regardless of gender. What made the game even more amazing was the new gaming helmet. It could repair users' nerves and rejuvenate their bodies if they logged into the game daily. This news was a ray of hope for people like Lu Chen, who lived with physical disabilities. He immediately bought the gaming helmet promoted by Tencent Corp, eagerly hoping all their promises would come true because his life hadn't always been this way. In the past, he had a high-paying job with a promising future. However, an accident dramatically changed his life, leaving him severely injured while protecting someone. Because of this, he found himself facing misfortune. To save him, his family had to use all their savings and sell their properties. Despite their efforts, he was only able to move his head and arms. From that moment on, he became a burden to his sister and a target for judgmental onlookers who belittled him even though they knew his tragic story. Although their words were cruel, he accepted this as his new reality and didn't want to burden his sister further. So he decided to unalive himself. Fortunately, a game called Empyrean God Realm appeared. There were many rumors about the game. Some said players in its internal testing became superhuman. What truly interested Lu Chen was the game's rumored ability to help patients with high paraplegia and vegetative states regain mobility and return to a normal life. Fueled by hope, he staked his future on this game and forgot about using the rope. Determined, he went home to test the game immediately. When he arrived, he discovered his sister wasn't there. A message on his phone explained she was working overtime. This only strengthened his resolve. He quickly retrieved the gaming helmet he had purchased. Although it was secondhand and he wasn't sure if it would work perfectly, he had no other option due to financial problems. Hoping for the best, he logged into the game. Once the game fully booted up, a system avatar appeared, welcoming him. It prompted him to enter his ID, which he did without hesitation, choosing the peculiar name Only I'm Wild. With that settled, the system avatar dramatically tore through the fabric of space, revealing the breathtaking in-game world to him. He couldn't help but notice something unusual. Looking down at his own hands, he was surprised by their fluffiness. This confused him, and he wondered if this was a new character class in the game, as he hadn't heard any players discussing it before. Typically, games start with character customization and clothing options. As he examined himself further, it became clear that he had transformed into a wild beast, which was far different from the warrior, puppeteer, and shooter classes he had expected. He pondered if he could still hunt wild beasts to level up or make money in this new form. If not, it would be a big problem for him, which made him panic. But freaking out wouldn't help, so he took a deep breath and opened the character menu. To his dismay, the game classified him as a weak werewolf. This designation came with significant disadvantages: a 20% penalty to his basic type specialty, lower than average attributes, a low-class bloodline, and a mere 1% critical rate. Upon seeing this, he felt deeply disappointed, and it even brought tears to his eyes. But suddenly, it dawned on him that he could now move, and his new form felt incredibly real, just like his physical body before his accident. This filled him with excitement, so he immediately tested his newfound mobility by running around with unrestrained joy. He even let out a howl like a real beast, expressing his happiness. However, his celebration was short-lived, as his howl attracted the attention of other players. To them, he was just an ugly beast, a stepping stone to level up. One player even remarked that it wasn't easy to deal critical damage to ugly creatures, which made him feel a pang of annoyance. But he couldn't deny that their in-game gear looked impressive, even though they were rookies, which deepened his appreciation for the game. However, the approaching players had a different agenda. They were excited about the prospect of taking him down and looting his valuable weapon for profit. This revelation shocked him. He hadn't expected his weapon to be so expensive. The reason soon became clear as he witnessed that he dealt substantial damage to rookie players. Unfortunately, taking on 5 opponents at once was impossible for him at his current level. So he desperately stalled for time, hoping that the other wild beasts would automatically attack the players. Just as he expected, several creatures like him emerged from the bushes and attacked the players, dealing significant damage and smashing them in all directions. While they were getting overwhelmed, Lu Chen took this opportunity for a back shot, landing the final blow. This earned him 10 experience points and 1 point of monster reputation, which also unlocked the reputation store. This discovery filled him with joy as he realized that defeating players could yield rewards. Eagerly, he continued his onslaught, amassing a total of 30 experience points and 3 more monster reputation points. Additionally, he obtained 5 basic level recovery potions. This made him curious about whether this medicine came from the reputation store. He opened the store window, and to his surprise, his assumption was wrong. The store didn't sell recovery medicine. It appeared that wild beasts like him couldn't purchase such items. However, on the brighter side, he noticed that he could level up his talent and quality in the store. Lu Chen recalled reading on the official website that players didn't possess talents until they chose their careers. This seemed to be a significant advantage. He wondered if being a wild beast was a sort of cheat code. But that would only be the case if he could also murder his own kind. Otherwise, he would be stuck at level 1. Without hesitation, he started attacking his fellow creatures. To his delight, he found that he could destroy monsters without drawing the attention of other wolves. This realization filled him with joy, and he continued his attacks with enthusiasm. A few moments later, he had murdered a few of his own kind and got lucky enough to obtain a quality upgrade point. This development thrilled him even more, so he continued his unprovoked attacks with increased energy. 15 minutes later, he noticed that he looked stronger than before. His prefix had finally improved from weak to normal. Not only had his character changed, but his physical body had also become stronger. The negative stats he initially had were now gone. This realization filled him with excitement. He was happy to discover that being a wild beast wasn't a bad thing in this game, and the realism of it all made it feel like he himself was undergoing a transformation. However, his celebration was short-lived as his attention was diverted by a scream for help. He immediately turned around to investigate, his eyes filled with shock. He couldn't believe that some perverted players had cornered a woman. They had heard rumors that hitting players without any equipment with a mace would cause their clothes to burst. To his disbelief, Lu Chen saw that it was true. The pink-haired woman's armor was broken. Despite this, she refused to shut down her game because it would result in a 3-hour punishment. She had already signed a contract to be the ambassador of Empyrean and needed to promote the game soon, so she wouldn't quit now. However, her decision might change as the perverts continued their shameless behavior, ogling her body. He had heard that this game used the player's real body shape, making them even bolder. Lu Chen wouldn't tolerate this harassment. He bonked the offender hard on the head, and since he had leveled up, dispatching the others was easier. Having good recovery potions at his disposal really helped him quicken the process. However, it was a shame that only 1 potion would drop from each player, and that wasn't enough. Meanwhile, the girl assumed that Lu Chen had saved her and noticed he was eyeing the potions. She thanked him by giving him all the potions she had. This surprised Lu Chen because he had initially planned to attack her as well. However, because of her kind gesture, he decided against it and simply took the potions before leaving the scene. With that settled, he noticed people everywhere. It seemed like he wasn't far from the newbie village. If he stood out too much, he might become a target for elimination, so he decided to stay away from other players and focus on hunting other beasts. After a while, he determined that he had distanced himself far enough to be safe for now. Since he had become a wild beast as soon as he logged into the game, he had no idea what the other players were doing. So he seized the opportunity to go to the forums and watch the officially released promotion clip to get a better sense of what was happening in the game world. To his surprise, he spotted the girl he had met earlier in the promotion clip. This discovery astonished him because he had never imagined she had such a background. However, what surprised him even more was the sheer number of players in the game. It appeared that there were more players than wild beasts, and they were fiercely competing for resources, making it challenging to level up. Yet he couldn't help but smile at his unique situation. As a wild beast, he had the advantage of being able to explore the deepest parts of the forest without worrying about monster attacks. This gave him access to many monsters to hunt and gain experience from, so he continued his rampage with enthusiasm. Each murder rewarded him with 10 experience points, a single 0-star quality upgrade, and a single 0 rarity talent upgrade. After a few moments, he had acquired 10 0-star talent upgrades. It seemed he could finally upgrade his talents to a lowly werewolf bloodline, which increased his normal attack's critical chance from 1% to 6%. This delighted him as it was a significant improvement. However, he couldn't help but wonder why the game kept providing him with 0-star quality upgrades. To find answers, he examined the information about these upgrades. He discovered that he could either sell 10 of them to gain 1 reputation point or merge 10 of them to create a single 1 rarity upgrade. He needed 10 of these to rank up, meaning he had to defeat at least 100 opponents. This would be time-consuming, so it seemed like he needed to find higher-level beasts to increase his chances of obtaining 1-star upgrades. Thus, he wasted no time and began attacking ordinary rank werewolves one after the other. This earned him 15 experience points with each murder, helping him reach level 2 faster. However, the drops remained the same, with no equipment or 1 rarity upgrades. With this, he realized that he needed to challenge stronger opponents. Luckily, he didn't have to search for long. He spotted a formidable-looking beast, different from those he had encountered before. Despite its strength, it was still a level 1. Now that he was level 2 and had spare potions, he felt confident he could win the fight. Without hesitation, he engaged the beast in combat. Despite the creature's higher damage due to its size, Lu Chen's agility, stamina, and performance gave him an advantage. After a tough 5-minute battle, he emerged victorious. The battle yielded 20 experience points, both 1-star quality and talent upgrades, and even a dropped weapon. It was clear that spending 5 minutes fighting such monsters was worth the effort. However, he now had 2 weapons and didn't plan on dual-wielding them. He remembered he could sell one for 300 yuan. But before doing so, he needed to confirm the market price. He decided to check the official website. After searching the market, he found that the weapon had only seen 100 transactions, suggesting it was quite scarce. He decided to list it for 260 yuan to see if it would sell. After placing the item on the market, he closed the window and was about to continue his journey. To his surprise, a notification immediately popped up. Opening it, he discovered that the item had been instantly purchased by a player, and the payment had already been transferred to his bank account. Seeing this news, he quickly connected his phone and opened the message to verify if it was real. To his delight, the transaction was indeed a success. This brought him immense happiness. He could now start earning money and not be a burden to his sister. It also meant that the company wasn't lying about the numerous business opportunities in Empyrean. With his special class and newfound confidence, he became even more excited to explore this virtual world further. Lu Chen continued his murdering spree. 20 minutes later, a system interface popped up, notifying him that he had reached level 3. This resulted in significant increases in his attack, defense, and HP. However, he felt disappointed since he had defeated around 20 ordinary werewolves and a level 1 strong werewolf, yet nothing valuable had dropped. With this in mind, he decided to challenge a level 2 special beast in the area. There were a total of 5 special beasts, 2 at level 1, another 2 at level 2, and 1 at level 3. He planned to murder these level 1 and 2 beasts, allowing him to repeatedly hunt all 4 beasts per respawn cycle. Eagerly, he approached the first level 2 beast he encountered. To his surprise, his direct attack on the beast's head didn't destroy it. Instead, it counterattacked. However, the counterattack's damage was low, only slightly higher than the level 1 beast's. It seemed to compensate for this with incredible attack speed, hence its name, the Nimble Werewolf. Although its speed was impressive, Lu Chen believed it didn't matter much at such low levels. Confident, he felt he could take down all 4 beasts before their respawn. He executed his plan as fast as he could. After a gruesome 40-minute grinding, Lu Chen stood in a pile of dead werewolves he had mercilessly slaughtered. He opened his stats window and couldn't help but grin. Upgrading his talent to 1 star had granted him a 10% critical hit rate. What excited him, even more, was the option to choose from 3 rewards every time his quality upgraded. This feature allowed him to upgrade his abilities up to 50% in each type of werewolf he wanted to become. He chose to be strong and transformed into a special beast, significantly enhancing his abilities. He now felt invincible. After half an hour, Lu Chen had grown significantly stronger, having chosen every available special talent for his current rank. This resulted in a lengthy description that categorized him as a strong, nimble, honky werewolf. He also reached level 4. Before continuing his hunt, he decided to sell the weapons he had obtained. Given their condition, he figured people would buy them even at a price of 300 yuan, so he listed them all at that price. To his surprise, as soon as he closed the trade window, a message popped up notifying him that all his items had sold immediately. His eyes lit up with excitement as he realized he had earned 1,700 yuan in just one afternoon. This meant he could buy his little sister, Lu Yi, a new set of clothes. Meanwhile, the pink-haired girl from earlier was jumping with joy as she finally obtained the weapon. However, as she thought about it, she couldn't help but wonder how the seller had managed to acquire so many maces. It didn't make sense because there were numerous rookies fighting over a limited number of monsters, making it nearly impossible to gather so much equipment. This raised suspicions, leading her to consider whether the seller might be the highest level player in their region. To confirm her assumptions, she decided to check the leaderboard. To her surprise, there was no player with the name Only I'm Wild, not even among the top 500 players in their area. She concluded that the seller must be an illegal broker. Before she could delve deeper into her investigation, her friend reminded her that it was time for her livestream. Reluctantly, she halted her investigation and started the livestream, warmly greeting everyone. She introduced herself as Fang Lingji and then proceeded to show the chaotic nature of the newbie grounds. There were already more than 100,000 players within the hunting ground, making it incredibly crowded. This overcrowding made players unhappy as it made leveling up more difficult. They also had to contend with the cramped conditions in the newbie village. One player even joked that she might get pregnant due to the overcrowding. However, Fang Lingji was there to brighten their mood as she began providing tips on how to level up faster, suggesting that they acquire a mace from the trading place. Even though it was only a level 1 weapon, having a mace would help them outclass hundreds of other players. Lu Chen watched her stream, which helped him understand why his weapon had become popular. He also observed what was happening in the new village and realized how difficult it was for players to progress there. In contrast, he felt fortunate to be a wild beast, even though there were only 30 beasts in his area. However, he couldn't afford to idle around as there were still 4 special beasts he needed to farm. He sprang into action, and for every special werewolf he murdered, he gained 28 to 38 experience points, and both talent and quality upgrades. Within a few moments, Lu Chen had successfully upgraded his talent and quality. He felt so powerful that it wasn't even difficult for him to defeat beasts 1 level above him. He easily dispatched a level 5 nimble werewolf, earning 50 experience points, 1-star upgrades, and another tattered werewolf mace. This was particularly exciting because he was about to earn another 300 yuan from selling the mace. However, shock filled his eyes as he picked up the mace. To his amazement, it turned out to be an S-grade weapon offering additional stats to the wearer. Beyond the extra attack points, it also provided extra attributes like 2 points in power, translating to 2 points in attack, and 1 point in defense. Additionally, the 2 points in physical build meant an additional 40 health points and 40 energy points. This made it a godly item for a newbie. The only question on his mind now was how much he should sell it for. With this in mind, he decided to open up the forum, hoping to find someone who could provide him with reliable opinions. However, he was met with a bunch of trolls who didn't take his questions seriously. So it seemed like he had no choice but to seek information in the trading place instead. Unfortunately, no one had ever sold an S-grade mace before, so he had to make a decision without much guidance. Considering that this weapon was only level 1, he realized that pricing it too high could be troublesome if no one bought it. It was better to sell it quickly, so he decided to auction it with a starting price of 1,000 yuan and hoped it would be sold within half an hour. If it sold, he could earn 3,000 yuan today, and if this trend continued for a month, he wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. Meanwhile, one of the players came across his auction and wondered why he was starting the bidding at 1,000 yuan. It seemed like an absurdly high price for a level 1 mace, so they assumed the seller might be looking for someone gullible enough to buy it. However, this didn't align with the prices he had set for previous weapons, which were quite reasonable. Therefore, it suggested that there was something special about this particular weapon. A few moments later, deep in the forest, Lu Chen continued his efforts. He got another weapon, which made him smile as he added another 300 yuan to his earnings. He had also reached level 5, however he faced a problem. He was only getting 1-star talent and evolution upgrades. It seemed he needed to go deeper into the forest, so he pushed through the dense underbrush and towering trees. Fortunately, his persistence paid off when he found a level 6 werewolf with exceptional agility. Up close, it was clear the beast had a 2-star quality prefix. Excited, he prepared to face it. Their fight was intense, with each attack slicing through the air, but Lu Chen won, gaining 70 experience points and a 2-star evolution and talent shard. This confirmed his earlier thoughts, so he decided to focus only on hunting monsters with exceptional qualities. After a whole day of grinding, he finally reached level 6. It had been tough because the experience needed had increased dramatically from level 5. Still, he was happy because he had also improved his quality, now a werewolf with exceptional strength and agility. When he checked his quality, it was clear that evolving to a 2-star quality had doubled his attributes. However, he felt the prefixes were becoming a problem because they made him easy to spot even when trying to hide behind trees. He decided to deal with this issue later, as he was tired from the long grinding session. It was time to log off for the day. Before logging off, he needed to handle the equipment he had obtained. He opened the trade window and listed everything for trade. His eyes lit up when he saw he had earned a significant amount of cash with 9 regular maces and 2 small high-quality ones. Even though their agility boost wasn't ideal for him, he could sell them for 700 to 800 each in the auction area. He looked forward to reuniting with his sister because he was finally making money to support the family just as he used to. Not long after, he successfully logged off and took off his helmet. He felt a warm sensation in his hands, realizing the company's promises were coming true. He hoped this meant he might regain his sensations in the future. With this thought, his eyes lit up again, pleased that his second-hand gaming headset was a good purchase. However, his celebration was short-lived when he heard the front door creak. This could only mean his sister was working overtime and had come back very late. Looking closer, she seemed to be drunk, which worried Lu Chen. He asked Lu why she was in that state. However, she was too focused on sharing some good news with him to answer. She came close and told him that she was going to make a lot of money because their company was moving to the Empyrean God Realm, and she was a core team member. The head office had found great business opportunities in the 9th Heaven domain and allocated $5 million for their entry. She was now the deputy team leader. Unexpectedly, she was so drunk and happy that she ended up sitting on her stepbrother's lap, making Lu Chen feel flustered. However, since he wasn't as intoxicated as she was, he gently reminded her to be careful, considering their awkward position as step-siblings. To his surprise, Lu Yi's drunkenness made her bold, and she didn't mind being so close to him. She even said that since they weren't real siblings, she wasn't doing anything wrong. She had already decided she wanted to be with him forever and take care of him. Lu Chen was shocked by this and couldn't respond as his face was buried against her while she hugged him tightly. In a surreal turn of events, they tumbled off his wheelchair into an even more awkward position. Lu Yi showed no sign of stopping. In fact, she pressed herself even closer to Lu Chen. Before he could speak, she gently touched his lips to silence him, not wanting to hear him talk about not wanting to be a burden. She assured him that with the Empyrean God Realm attracting millions of players, including major companies and government officials, he could rest easy as she was determined to take care of both of them. Lu Chen also had good news. He was making money in the Empyrean God Realm, so she wouldn't need to work so hard to support him. Unfortunately, she didn't hear what he said because she had already fallen asleep. Still, Lu Chen was happy to see his stepsister smile again. Since she was also playing the game, he decided to wait to tell her, confident they would have many chances to meet in the game. However, he couldn't help but wonder why even national forces had entered the game, which made him suspect there might be hidden secrets yet to be discovered. The next day, he woke up and saw that his sister had already gone to work. This made him smile, realizing she had really grown up. It also meant he couldn't waste time. He logged back into Empyrean God Realm and saw that his character was still a wild monster. Checking his balance, he found he had sold everything and had 3,915 yuan in his bank. Before starting to grind again, he decided to check Feng Lingji's live stream to see what was happening with the human players. On her stream, Feng Lingji complained about how hard the game was. She had played until 4:00 AM, but was only at level 3. She heard that even the best players, mostly from big corporations, were only reaching level 5. Feng Lingji was grateful to a player named Wild, who had sold many maces, making it easier for her to farm. Her thanks to Wild made some of her viewers jealous. They started trash-talking Wild, accusing him of cheating and hoping he would get banned. Despite this, Feng Lingji defended Wild, telling her viewers to stop. She mentioned that Wild might have played in the beta test, which could explain his knowledge of farming maces. Before things could get worse, she said goodbye to her chat and continued her grind. Lu Chen was happy to see that not only was Feng Lingji beautiful, but she was also a nice person. Before she ended her stream, he sent her a tip as thanks. Feng Lingji was surprised to realize that Wild had watched her stream. With that settled, Lu Chen began grinding, hunting level 6 exceptional beasts. As usual, he received 70 experience points, 2-star upgrades, and occasionally a weapon with each murder. He did this for 3 hours straight without a break. Thanks to his hard work, he reached level 7, gaining an extra 740 HP. He also upgraded his quality to a perfect 2-star beast, which made him very happy. However, his ever-growing prefix was still a problem. Not knowing what to do about it, he decided to move on to a higher-level area. While walking through the woods, he wondered what his name would become after another quality upgrade, and even imagined it might be visible from 800 meters away. His thoughts were interrupted when he saw a cool-looking elite monster with a striking name. The beast had 10 special monsters as its subordinates. Knowing he couldn't handle them alone, Lu Chen tried to come up with a plan. He opened his inventory but found only 4 healing potions, which he knew wouldn't be enough for the boss battle. The 17 mesas he had collected were also useless in this situation, and his upgrading materials were insufficient for another upgrade. Facing the boss seemed like a bad idea in his current condition, but before he could turn away, he remembered something. Lu Chen opened the reputation store and was surprised to find a unique item called the Legion Recruitment Order. According to its details, this item allowed him to recruit a creature. After recruiting, the creature's level and talent rank couldn't exceed his own, and its quality had to be lower than his level. The creature's original equipment would be removed, and if it died, it would disappear without dropping experience, equipment, or items. However, he would get back the Legion Recruitment Order. Recruiting a beast was not easy. The player had to engage in a one-on-one duel with the target, and couldn't use potions during the duel. If the target was attacked by anyone else, the recruitment would fail. Fortunately, the target would be left with just 1 HP and be in a recruitable state after being defeated, but there was still a chance the recruitment could fail. If it did, the target would die without dropping anything, and only the Legion Recruitment Order would return to his inventory. If successful, the player could use reputation, talent fragments, and quality potions to improve the recruited creature's attributes. Lu Chen saw the potential of this item and thought it would be useful for facing the boss. However, 1 recruit wouldn't be enough, so he wondered if the Legion Recruitment Order could be upgraded for multiple uses. Since it only cost 10 reputation points, he bought it. To his surprise, upgrading it required 500 reputation points, a huge increase from the initial 10. Despite the high cost, he decided to sell all his available materials to reach level 3 for the item. He felt a pang of loss as he watched his valuable 3-star materials turn into reputation points. Soon, he successfully upgraded the Legion Recruitment Order to level 3, allowing him to recruit 3 underlings. He immediately started the recruitment process by challenging 3 special beasts. After defeating each one, he recruited them without issues. However, he needed to upgrade their stats, which made him shed another tear as he used his remaining materials. Despite this, he was excited to have strong subordinates and felt ready to face the boss. Without hesitation, they attacked as a team. They first dealt with the weaker beasts, and after 10 minutes, only the boss remained. He commanded Erzi to charge first. The mini-boss struck hard, reducing Erzi's health by more than half while sustaining only minimal damage itself, showing its toughness. Realizing the danger, Lu Chen ordered Erzi to step back while he and the others used a tactic of attacking and retreating to recover. It wasn't long before they defeated the Wolf Commander Zakas. This victory rewarded Lu Chen with 360 experience points, 3-star upgrades, a white level 5 leather shoulder, a gray level 1 tattered vest, and a green level 5 shattered stone mace. Lu Chen was particularly excited about the green quality gear, which had high attack stats and additional attributes. It provided extra strength, agility, and stamina. He hesitated to sell it and came up with a clever plan. He decided to wait for Zakas to respawn and get another weapon. While waiting, he commanded his subordinates to target werewolves at levels 7 to 8. He reminded them not to wander too far, always pick up equipment, rest when their health dropped below 40%, and notify him if Zakas respawned. This set up an auto-farming system, allowing him to monitor his experience and loot from a distance. To his surprise, his subordinates were more efficient than he was, which relieved him. He took this opportunity to check the live stream room, hoping no one had caught up to him. Opening the live stream, he saw that Feng Lingji was also working hard, multitasking with viewers while grinding. She motivated them to strive for higher levels, emphasizing the importance of reaching level 10 to access the main city in the Empyrean God Realm. At this stage, players could choose from 9 major professions like Poison Master, Spirit Tamer, Puppeteer, Archer, and more, promising a more exciting gameplay experience. However, other players pointed out that the highest level was still below level 5, and that it took 10,000 experience points to level up from 5 to 6, making level 10 seem distant. They were also excited about the guild system, which had been open for a while. They suggested Feng Lingji join a guild, but she preferred the flexibility of not being tied to one. Lu Chen learned about the guild system and accessed the guild feature. He was surprised to see a wide range of guilds to choose from, including many famous ones and even a special forces division. He wondered if it was a real military unit. Seeing all these guilds made him smile, realizing that the game was becoming more amazing every day. 8 hours later, the game's realism was proven when Lu Chen slept peacefully in the game world. He was awakened by a poke on his snout from one of his subordinates. Fully awake now, he was surprised to find it was already 7 in the morning. This also meant that Zakas respawned every 8 hours, which was quite a long time, even for Lu Chen. Still, he knew there was nothing he could do about it, so he decided to accept it. Before battling Zakas again, he planned to buy 2 equipment slots to equip the shoulder pads and armor. After that, he checked his character panel to review his attributes. To his shock, he saw he had already reached level 8 and was close to level 9. This made him smile widely as he was amazed at how effective his auto-hunting subordinates had been. With 3 pieces of equipment on him, Zakas was no longer a threat. He set out to hunt Zakas again, aiming to obtain the stone mace and wondering how much this green-grade equipment would sell for. A few moments later, he successfully defeated Zakas again. To his delight, he obtained what he wanted, another green level 5 stone mace. As a bonus, shoulder armor also dropped. Since his subordinates didn't have equipment yet, he planned to give these items to them. However, when he opened his inventory, he was shocked to see that his subordinates had gathered 20 maces from farming. This discovery made him realize that his earlier concerns about spending reputation on recruits had been foolish. It had proven to be worth it. As expected, the prices of the maces had dropped and were now only selling for 280 each. However, he could still sell a few of the lower quality ones for a bit more, and the white level 5 shoulder armor could be auctioned with a starting bid of 700 yuan and a buyout price of 1,500 yuan. The only problem was that he didn't know the worth of the green mace, so he decided to go to the forum for advice. Before he could do that, several messages popped up, notifying him of the successful transactions of the maces. The constant notifications were distracting, so he disabled them. Once he could focus, he noticed that his subordinates were just standing still and doing nothing. He commanded them to continue grinding and finding mobs while he went to the forums for more information. To his surprise, someone had already noticed the white quality shoulder pad he was selling, which was causing quite a stir. This also drew attention to the 33 maces he was selling. People were now curious about who this I'm Only Wild player was. This didn't surprise him because, even though monsters could avoid appearing on gaming rankings, sellers couldn't hide their IDs. Getting noticed was just a matter of time. In fact, it only made him more confident that people would take his questions seriously now that they had noticed him. He asked how much a green level 5 weapon was worth. As he expected, someone immediately replied that it could be sold for 5,000 yuan, considering the shoulder armor sold for 1,500 yuan. Still, some trolls tried to confuse him. However, since the first reply seemed serious, Lu Chen decided to follow that advice. He set the starting bid for the stone mace at 1,000 yuan with a buyout price of 5,000 yuan. Even if it didn't sell immediately, he could try again in 8 hours. Meanwhile, one of Feng Lingqi's friends was shocked to see the green quality mace and was even more surprised that it came from a wild user. This was impressive because he not only had a white quality item, but also green ones. The violet-haired girl asked Feng Lingqi if she was friends with only I'm Wild, to which she replied that she wasn't. However, she had already come up with a plan to convince him to add her. Feng Lingqi asked her friend to track Lu Chen's ID and inform her as soon as he entered her livestream. Her friend agreed. Meanwhile, Lu Chen continued his grind with his minions. 2.5 hours later, Lu Chen reached level 9. He was surprised to find that leveling up to 10 required 100,000 experience points, which seemed insane since he had just farmed 50,000 experience points to reach level 9. However, when he looked at his stats, it seemed reasonable, as his attack was now over 60, and he had 1,150 HP. His train of thought was interrupted when he noticed a bright light beside some corpses. Upon investigation, he found 15 bottles of healing potions, which made him happy. It was surprising to find potions dropping in bundles, so he continued to investigate his surroundings and found a trail of potions lined up ahead. Despite looking like a trap, his greed got the better of him, and he followed the path, looting all the potions he came across, seeing it as an opportunity for a big profit. As expected, the trail led him to a group of players. Due to his appearance and long prefix, they assumed he was the boss known as Zakas. Since they were aiming to defeat Zakas to gain money and secure a level 10 spot in the main city, they immediately went into formation and attacked him. However, Lu Chen didn't even flinch, as he had expected this. His defense was already at 28, and their attack, being only at level 5, was at best 23. The 1 point of damage inflicted was just the game deducting 1 HP to show contact. The players' morale dropped as they wondered about the kind of defense this beast had, not to mention its massive amount of health. Before their morale could drop further, Waifu reassured them, suggesting that the damage they saw might be the minimum dealt. Since they had plenty of potions, they could slowly wear the beast down. Believing they were the strongest, they were easily convinced and continued attacking. Meanwhile, Lu Chen remained standing, emotionless and unfazed by their attacks, letting them figure it out for themselves. However, as considerable time passed, it seemed they were unwilling to admit that their attacks were only dealing 1 damage. This didn't make sense to Lu Chen, so he began to wonder if these players were simply stupid. Nonetheless, waiting for them to realize the truth would be a waste of time, and he couldn't keep targeting his own kind. A wicked grin appeared on his face as he realized he had to fulfill his role as a monster. Once Lu Chen had made up his mind, he gave the nearest player a piece of his mind, nearly murdering him. But he wasn't finished yet. Lu Chen decided to deliver the other piece. However, before he could deliver the final blow, the players began using their potions. They soon realized their potions weren't very effective, as they only restored 10 points per second and had a 10-second cooldown. Despite this, they were determined to continue and didn't want to retreat. They chose to be more careful with their positioning and take turns attacking the boss. To their surprise, the boss's movements made their attacks miss, and they ended up taking damage instead. Each strike they received caused a burst of damage, making them realize that winning wasn't possible from the start. They decided to run, but it was too late. Lu Chen had already resolved to eliminate them. In no time, Lu Chen had wiped out the group attacking him and was grinning with delight, having acquired 27 bottles of potions from just 1 player. It seemed he had made a fortune once again. From observing them, Lu Chen gathered that these players had noticed the declining price of regular maces and decided to try for Zakas. After the lesson he had taught them, they probably wouldn't dare to try again for at least a few more days. This meant Lu Chen could continue grinding and work his way up to level 10. Meanwhile, in the real world, the group who had failed to defeat Lu Chen, whom they had mistaken for Zakas, were having a meeting. They were convincing each other that their failure was normal since the boss was 3 levels higher than them. They decided it would be wise to postpone attacking the boss until they leveled up and got stronger equipment. They also acknowledged that their effort wasn't entirely in vain, as they now knew the boss's location. However, they were still puzzled about how a player named Wild managed to succeed, realizing that this Wild player was stronger than they had initially thought. Back in the game, Lu Chen was relieved to see that the flood of emails had finally stopped. There were so many emails that he wasn't sure if all his items had sold. As the commotion died down, he organized his emails and was pleased to discover that everything had indeed been sold, leaving him with 2,221 yuan in his bank. However, he still needed to reply to all the messages, which would take time. So he decided to send a single group email to thank everyone for their kind gestures, explaining that he wouldn't be adding any in-game friends. For those asking about equipment, he assured them he would send an email before consigning equipment to ensure fair competition. With these matters settled, he closed his email tab and resumed grinding. After 8 hours, Lu Chen was excited to reach level 10. His hard work had paid off, and he had also acquired 28 maces, 1 shoulder pad, 1 vest, and a handful of upgrade materials. His attributes had improved significantly, and he was curious if there were new surprises at the reputation store. Opening the store, Lu Chen discovered 3 new options. The first was the skin tab, which allowed him to change his appearance for 1,000 points. He considered this feature somewhat useless at first, so he moved on to the bloodline tab. This option amazed him. By choosing this enhancement, he could obtain the bloodline of creatures from the same species after defeating enough of them. Bloodlines granted access to unique talents and could be improved, similar to his werewolf bloodline. The enhancement also allowed him to acquire the appearance and attack methods of other species if he obtained their skins. This excited him, as it meant he could potentially transform into various wild monsters or even a human. The third tab was Mental Techniques, which offered enhancements for acquiring the 4th attribute known as Mana. Mana would enable him to use magical attacks and defenses. There were 2 options: low-level monster meditation for 1,000 points, which unlocked mana and yellow level spell induction for 1,000 points, allowing the analysis of yellow level spells used by wild monsters. Lu Chen wanted to obtain all these enhancements, but due to limited resources, he had to choose wisely. He decided to start with Monster Meditation, which allowed him to gain 1 mana point for every minute of meditation. He began his meditation, noting that there were 3 main ways to obtain mana in the game: murdering wild monsters, meditating online, and taking potions. While meditating, he couldn't perform any other operations, including transactions, so he decided to meditate later. Having spent a long time in the game, Lu Chen planned to log out. Before doing so, he listed all his loot for trade and auction. Later, he checked out a livestream to see what other players were up to. Feng Lingji, who was waiting for Lu Chen to join her stream, managed to track his anonymous ID from a previous stream. When she saw his ID, she launched a raffle as a way to thank her fans, giving away a mace. To Lu Chen's surprise, he specifically received this gift. This unexpected turn of events left Lu Chen amazed, as he hadn't been in her livestream for long yet had already won something. Before he could act, Feng Lingji contacted him immediately, asking for his account ID so she could add him as a friend and send him her prize. He refused and suggested she give it to someone else, but she was persistent and wouldn't take no for an answer. 3 minutes later, they were still arguing. Feng Lingji kept trying to convince Lu Chen to accept her gift, saying he should see it as a favor to her. She insisted that he prove he already had a mace by taking a screenshot with it. Lu Chen realized that his current intimidating appearance, with a long prefix, a werewolf mace, and 3 subordinates, might scare others, so accepting Feng Lingji's gift seemed like the best choice. Besides, Feng Lingji had been supportive of him before, especially in dealing with haters, so he agreed to her proposal and accepted her friend request. This revealed his true in-game name to her, which Feng Lingji pretended to be surprised about, even though she had recognized him from the start. Grateful for his acceptance, Feng Lingji told him about the poisonous fog forest, which led to the level 10 main city and had just opened. Lu Chen thought it would be rude to remove someone as a friend right after receiving a gift, so he decided to keep Feng Lingji as a friend and head to the poisonous fog forest as she suggested. When he arrived, a sign at the entrance warned that it was the only way to the level 10 main city, and that many powerful creatures resided there. Historically, only 1 out of every 10 people managed to escape due to the tough battles and poor visibility caused by the poisonous mist. The advice was to avoid getting too caught up in fighting and to escape quickly. Lu Chen, however, was excited to face these monsters and test their strength. Soon, poisonous arachne-type monsters descended from the trees, preparing to attack in groups. Since these monsters were high-level, Lu Chen took the battle seriously. He fought the strongest monster while his subordinates handled its minions. To his surprise, he received a 5-second poison debuff that reduced his health by only 20 points per second. He continued with his strategy and defeated the elite monster and its minions in just 3 minutes. This victory earned him 500 experience points, 2 3-star upgrades, and 2 mana, which pleased him greatly. Unexpectedly, another system message appeared, informing him that the elite monster had dropped a white level 6 silk bracer. Since the bracer provided 6 defense and 3 poison resistance, he used reputation points to open the 4th equipment slot and equipped it. However, Lu Chen couldn't catch a break. Another wave of monsters appeared, ready to attack. After 5 minutes of intense fighting, he realized that this place was too challenging. 3 of his subordinates had not had time to recover their health and were now dead. Exhausted from playing for hours, Lu Chen decided to log off immediately. Once he was out of the game, he stretched his body, and to his surprise, he found he could lift his other arm, which had been impossible before. This filled him with excitement as he realized the company's promises were real. Although he couldn't move his fingers much, this was a sign of improvement. He called his stepsister, Lu Yi, to ask when she would be coming home, mentioning he had a surprise for her. This intrigued her, as it had been a long time since she had heard him so enthusiastic. She looked forward to coming home, but couldn't leave yet because she had to work overtime in the Empyrean God Realm, which was proving to be more challenging than expected. Their boss had even bought each of them a mace, so they needed to work hard before the main city opened. After saying goodbye and ending the call, she continued working, while Lu Chen eagerly anticipated the next day when Lu Yi would return, hoping he might regain his physical abilities. The next day, Lu Chen logged into the game and fought spiders with renewed confidence, having learned from his previous mistakes. However, he was surprised to find that the number of monsters had doubled since his last encounter. Realizing he was in trouble, he continued fighting, but one of his subordinates died, which shocked him deeply. Not long after all his subordinates had been lost, Lu Chen was overwhelmed with rage. He decided to use his potions and confront the enemies directly. 10 minutes later, after defeating the wave of monsters, Lu Chen left the poison mist forest with a heavy heart, still grieving the loss of his new subordinates. He knew that crying wouldn't change anything and that Zuckuss was about to respawn, so it was the perfect time to recruit 3 more subordinates. This time, he planned to use his reputation to open additional equipment slots for them, allowing them to wear poison resistance gear and gradually enhance their fighting abilities. The next day, Lu Chen and his new subordinates entered the poison mist forest and engaged in fierce battles with spiders. Lu Chen was more confident that his subordinates would survive this time, thanks to their improved quality and a poison resistance of 10, which helped stabilize their performance. However, things didn't go as smoothly as expected. Another elite monster appeared, and its level was higher than the previous ones Lu Chen had encountered. Despite this, Lu Chen faced the level 10 elite monster head-on while his subordinates dealt with its minions. This tactic, though time-consuming, eventually paid off. After half an hour of intense battle, they defeated the elite monster. The monster's drops were impressive, including a white-grade silk gauntlet with 5 points of poison resistance and a green-grade spider fang necklace that added 10 poison damage to Lu Chen's attacks. This completed the 3-piece set needed to activate a bonus, which reduced poison debuff time by half and added 5 points of poison resistance. Although selling these items could fetch a good amount of money, Lu Chen decided it was more beneficial to equip them. With this new gear, Lu Chen could now defeat the elite monsters easily. Not even a minute had passed when the elite monsters spawned again. The stone tablet had said that only 1 out of 10 could survive in this place, but this predicament made Lu Chen smile, as it was exactly what he had been looking for. He swung his large rod at the spider lady in front of him and beat it thoroughly. A few hours later, after finishing off the spider lady, he left the poison mist forest with his subordinates still alive and well. He had also become a werewolf commander, although his prefix had grown longer, which initially bothered him. However, he chose to ignore it as he had achieved a 3-star quality upgrade. His stats were quite impressive. His attack had increased to 124, his health points were at 2230, and his mana had risen to 13, making him a formidable unit. Next, he went to the reputation store. To his surprise, due to the number of poison spiders he had murdered, he could unlock the poisonous spider bloodline with just 1,000 reputation points. Seeing that it could boost his poison damage and increase his movement speed, he bought it without hesitation and leveled it up to 3, just like his werewolf bloodline. With this upgrade, he could now deal 2.5% damage to the target's total health every second for 5 seconds and increase his movement speed by 19%. What surprised him even more was that integrating the new bloodline altered his appearance, transforming him into an abomination that could scare even the most experienced monster hunters, with the upper body of a werewolf and the massive lower body of a spider. Despite this, he wasn't complaining, as he was much faster now. It seemed the system wanted him to acquire all the skins in the reputation store, but he had just spent all his reputation points, so he had no choice but to continue playing, even though he was hungry. Luckily, he could still eat in real life while playing the game. Before resuming his grind, Lu Chen noticed the world chat where players were talking about him. They assumed that because he hadn't been selling maces as much recently, others had caught up to him, and he was now just another loser. Lu Chen didn't mind the provocation and chose not to engage with these players, as he had more important things to do. Additionally, the green equipment he had auctioned had sold for over 10,000 yuan more than the regular maces he had sold, making him more profitable. He spent the entire day grinding spiders and collecting numerous pieces of equipment. His subordinates now had full sets of poison-resistant gear, 4 sets in total, including his own. He also had 8 extra pieces of wrist and leg guards to sell, but decided to wait until players arrived at the poison mist forest, as they wouldn't be worth much to them yet. Unexpectedly, Lu Chen saw that the players in the forum were planning to hunt Zuckuss, having heard that Feng Lingji was also searching for Zuckuss. Lu Chen decided to confront these players and teach them a lesson by immediately logging in. As soon as they joined Feng Lingji and were about to attack Zuckuss, Lu Chen charged into the fray like a bull, shouting at Zuckuss to hold on because he was going to save him. This sudden appearance terrified the players, who believed Lu Chen was an ally of Zuckuss. They were seeing a beast like this for the first time, and given their situation, thought that Zuckuss might summon an ally if its health dropped below 30%. Since they believed they could handle Zuckuss with their numbers, and that this hybrid werewolf was just a summon, they thought it wasn't any stronger than Zuckuss, and that its appearance was just meant to scare them away. They stood their ground and raised their weapons. One player attacked the hybrid werewolf, but to their surprise, it only dealt 1 point of damage. This realization made them doubt their eyes, as they had never seen a monster with over 2,000 health points and such a strong defense. Before their morale could drop, one player in the group guessed that the hybrid beast was meant to hold them back, and that its attacks were not very strong. This thought reassured the others, and they decided to ignore the beast and focus on attacking Zuckuss. However, Lu Chen was not going to let them do as they pleased without facing consequences. He showed off his power by murdering the nearest player instantly, shocking everyone who saw it. As the players froze in fear, Lu Chen seized the moment to attack them, sending players flying with each swing. The players soon realized they couldn't win the fight, especially since the hybrid beast's attacks caused a powerful poison debuff that their potions couldn't counter. They understood that the hybrid werewolf was the real threat, causing panic to spread among them. They abandoned their attack on Zuckuss and tried to retreat quickly, but Lu Chen had no intention of letting them escape. It was crucial for his plan to eliminate every last one of them, including Feng Lingji, whom he had recently befriended. In moments, Lu Chen had defeated all the players, which brought him great satisfaction and more money. With the area clear, he instructed his subordinates to collect the potions dropped by the defeated players. While they did this, Lu Chen decided to watch Feng Lingji's livestream to see what the other players were doing. From the stream, it was clear that the defeated players were devastated. The elite group of 40 players had been wiped out in minutes, leaving them demoralized. Some logged off to take a break, while others asked Feng Lingji to contact her friend, Only I'm Wild, who had been the only player to defeat Zuckuss. They believed only I'm Wild might know how to defeat Zuckuss and thought Feng Lingji's charm could persuade him to share the secret. Feng Lingji hesitated at first, worried it might affect Only I'm Wild's earnings, but the players didn't care about Only I'm Wild's interests and kept pressing her. Realizing they wouldn't stop, Feng Lingji agreed to contact Only I'm Wild. Little did they know, this situation fit perfectly with Lu Chen's plan. By sharing his knowledge with Feng Lingji and indirectly with the other players, he not only gained their favor but also enhanced his reputation as a reliable source of information. This would allow him to sell his poison nest at a higher price, and possibly start selling it sooner than planned. Lu Chen gave Feng Lingji the necessary information to defeat Zuckuss and reassured her that they didn't need to worry too much about the hybrid monster, as it didn't appear every time. Feng Lingji was pleased and thanked him warmly. With that settled and his subordinates having looted everything, Lu Chen decided to defeat Zuckuss once more. The next day, Lu Chen and his gang went further into the Poison Mist Forest. Since their equipment was almost complete, they decided to explore deeper. To Lu Chen's surprise, the scenery became more beautiful as they neared the center. The lavender poison mist mixed with tall green bamboo created a captivating view, which Lu Chen appreciated. However, this also meant that the monsters were different, so he proceeded with caution. As he expected, a snake monster appeared in front of them. Lu Chen was taken aback by the number of snakes, which were more numerous than the spiders he had encountered before. He commanded his subordinates to attack first to gauge the situation. Without hesitation, they engaged with the massive snake. Lu Chen observed their battle and was surprised to see that his subordinates were still taking poison damage despite wearing suits with a poison resistance of 19. It became clear that the opponent's poison attack was stronger than the suits with a strength of 20, similar to the level 9 elite Spider-Woman. This realization made Lu Chen understand the true danger of this place. 10 minutes later, the number of snakes kept increasing, making Lu Chen wonder if the game intended to overwhelm players with the sheer volume of creatures. However, he was prepared for a long battle and had collected enough potions. He distributed 80 bottles to each of his subordinates, and they continued fighting for 2 hours. He only paused temporarily to get some sleep. The next day, Lu Chen put on his VR helmet again and resumed playing. He planned to stop hunting snakes and find an easier way to deal with them. To his surprise, when the game fully loaded, he saw that his subordinates were still fighting the snakes. This was unexpected since he thought they would have disappeared when he logged out. The monsters were still spawning, which was odd. Upon closer inspection, Lu Chen discovered that his subordinates had already leveled up to level 9. he wondered what had happened. That's it for today's recap. Give us a like and subscribe for more videos. See you next time.